All right. So obviously today I come here represent Couchbase. Thanks for reviewing the fact that we don't sell furniture. We sell NoSQL database. Okay. But before I start, I want to understand from about 200 people here, how many of you building application for enterprise? How many of you guys building application for consumer? To C or to B? To C? To C? And to B. All right, and I guess the rest of you guys are coming here for food, yeah? I know they're doing very good food. Okay, me too. All right, so a little bit of myself. I do that simply because I'm going to make some really bold claim later on. So I want you to understand where I come from, all right? So I spent last 20 years doing a lot of hands-on frontline delivery of data transformation project, you know, enterprise modernization. A few years back, guess what? We don't talk about AI, and we can't talk about AI because that confuses the hell out of everyone. All right, we talk about machine learning. Yeah, does that ring a bell? Advanced analytics. Yeah, so that is the prerequisite. I wouldn't say prerequisite. Those are the old names. Now it's called AI, Gen AI, everything about AI. Okay. Now today I want to come and share with you a little bit about my journey, my experience when I helping organizations go through those journey. So when you think about AI today, when you're all here, in a matter of fact, that this 2 days and listening to a lot of very different perspectives, okay, we're actually talking about something new in the technology. But what does that mean when you're trying to adopt a new technology? Right? You go through this process. I state the obvious here, but I want to refresh that a little bit with you, all right, so that it actually makes it easier for you to consume what I'm going to tell you next. So what do we do? When you adopt a new technology, you think about how does it work, right? And then how much does it cost? What's the value, right? And then some of you may think a few steps ahead about security and compliances, yeah? And then you start thinking about what use cases can you build that on, right? How does that work in your industry, for your company, right? Think about values, right? So Gen AI obviously are very good at doing content generation, right? Analysis, semantic, AI-powered chatbot using a lot. You probably hear that a number of times, you know, in the last couple of days. Then what next? You actually get a bunch of technical guys coming down and say, OK, now let's make it work, right? You probably face a couple of very, very key architecture decisions. How do I integrate that into my existing technology stack, right? Xiaoqing, the partner from McKinsey, earlier on made a statement. I like it very much. He said, AI is not a completely new technology. It's a continuation of the technology breakthrough. I like that because it's not work in isolation. You still need the existing infrastructure. You still need a lot of hardware. You still need a lot of other software. You need to integrate them. You need to think about how do you do that alongside with the data flow, right? The security, the high availability. That question, move on, it continues. That means a very simple problem become slightly more complicated. I think everyone understands how an application sits on top of some databases running on some infrastructure, right? That looks very simple. Everyone knows. But indeed, in enterprise, that's what happened, right? Now you're talking about Gen AI. How does that fill in, right? You must have some very, very smart architect and engineer in your organization to figure out how you're going to integrate that, okay? Then what happened is MVP, iterative, yeah? Everyone understand what that means? Minimal viable product, fail fast, you want innovation, right? So that's the life cycle. But guess what? You don't stop learning, because after you release the first time, you go back to what we talked about before. You learn the technology a little bit more. You learn what works and what doesn't, right? So this process itself actually going through again and again and again. And then your enterprise architect is not going to like you, right? Because more new technology they're going to integrate. So coming along that journey, we found, or I personally found, some very, very common challenge. The first one, right, tie back to the last diagram you saw, is what I call best in class versus time to market. What's more important today? I think you should actually ask yourself, what is more important? In my view, innovation, time to market, time to value is always more important at this time of your journey, right? Because you want to try out a new technology. So you want to spend as little time as possible on those integration points. Make sense? And the second bit, which I'm going to spend a little bit more time on, and the other day when I was talking about this diagram, someone said, hey, Ginny, you know, the diagram you actually show, it doesn't spell correctly. Blame ChatGPT, right? They generate that. But more importantly, I think the question you need to ask is, where should your compute be? I'll give you one example. Imagine that you have one of the most successful application launch tomorrow. What's going to happen? And you predict you're going to have hundreds of thousands to millions of people using it. I think it's probably about a few thousand people here today on this conference. Has anyone tried using either the Wi-Fi or 5G network recently? What happened? It sucks. Doesn't connect. Timeout, right? Because we have an infrastructure limitation. So tomorrow, you are launching the most successful AI application. What happened? It's not because Microsoft is not good enough. It's not because Google don't have the power center behind it to power. The telecommunication network break down first. Your highway is not fast enough. Yeah? I think it's time to think about, what do we want to do centrally and what do we want to do locally on the phone? As a matter of fact, all the phone provider, Apple, Samsung, you name it, already announced collaboration with OpenAI, right? S24, Samsung S25, my apologies, already announced collaboration with Gemini Nano. So tomorrow, you're going to have an AI model that runs locally on your phone. That not only helps you with the performance and the cost, right? But it also helps with one thing very, very important that everyone talks about today, privacy. How many of you have hesitation to go down to the path to do more with LLM today because of the fact that you think, am I exposing some of the confidential information? Am I comfortable? How many of them stopped or hesitate? Think about that. Now, I'm not claiming and I'm not predicting, right, tomorrow AI is going to happen on one side or the other. I'm saying the truth probably sits somewhere in the middle, right? It needs to be a very, very good consideration that with your architect to think about where should you put the bets on, where do you actually need the compute, right? So you don't only provide better performance, save money, then you have longer memory and store with your privacy locally. Last point I raise is pretty interesting, right? I spoke with a couple of my friends and my partners in the CSP. They all share with me the same thing. Right? Actually, at lunch, I'm lucky to talk to Dr. Julia from Microsoft. She shared with me the same thing. Majority of the AI project today did not go to, or that has not gone to production yet. Specifically, 97% according to Ali Cloud. Why? It's not because the technology is not ready. It's because of the fact that when we're trying to bring things into production, we need to go through checks, compliance, security. Someone needs to know how good is good, but no one can do that right now. No one can do that hands-on and say, it is okay that I give my data to Microsoft Gen AI. I'm sorry, I'm picking on you. Right? It's not because I'm not good, just because no one knows. No one knows. No one can actually know how to measure that. Make sense? So, I spent the last 10 minutes or so talks about the journey. But why are we here? Because I believe we have a solution that you would like to see to help solving some of those problems, right? Now, apart from the joke that we don't sell furniture, indeed we don't, you came across Couchbase every single day. You probably haven't known about that. So if you are using your credit card, you're using Couchbase. Whether it's credit card itself or the transaction itself, whether you're sending money using Western Union, or you're playing games looking at the leaderboard, right? Or you're going into a luxury store like Louis Vuitton, right? You're buying a bag with that shopping experience, right? The ladies probably can tell you that you never see a POS system in store because that was running on Couchbase on their laptop, on their Apple device. Right? You don't need a physical server there. So I always claim this is probably the best kept secrets in the world. You probably know about the F1 driver. You probably know about the team. You probably see a lot of stickers on the logo. You probably never know who built the lovely racing car engine. All right? We are the one that built racing car engine. So I'm not going to bore you with all of the details. Right? I see a lot of camera coming up and take photos, but talk to us in M12. It will give you a lot more details. But we have a very, very sophisticated architecture that allows you to turn on those services. Whether you need a RDBMS to do, data storage and compute, whether you need a NoSQL to store a different document type, or a caching solution that makes your application a bit faster, or you need some full-text search capability, right? All the way down to you need some advanced analytics along the way to give you some smart, or you want a vector database for inferring, to store the vector embedding. We have them all. What you need to do is just turn that on. Going back to my original point, what do you need now? Time to market, right? You want to innovate, and you want to innovate fast. And last but not least, I leave you with one more slide that talks about very unique value proposition where I believe that Couchbase have a multi-tier edge solution for you. Imagine that tomorrow, whatever phone that you can have the AI agent that working offline for you, and you can actually trust it safely to keep your long-term memory on the device. Okay, before it going out. It does not need to go out of the internet. That gives you a lot of assurance and safety. And we define edge to an extent that edge also means the edge data center. It could be a hospital. It could be a warehouse. Right? Again, if you want to learn a little bit more, come and talk to us. I hope that gives you a slightly different flavor, and I still keep you interested in the theme of more interesting topic in motive stage. Right? Finally, leave you with one slide. We are the first and only AI data platform for adaptive application from the cloud all the way to the edge. Thank you very much.